Good morning, and welcome to the worship service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart, Indiana. My name is Patricia Riley-Churilla. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I participate in the life of the church as the chair of the worship committee, occasional speaker from the pulpit, and when COVID allows, I will get back to co-leading our pagan holy day observations. We are currently in search for a full-time minister. When we do not have a minister in the pulpit, we invite members or guests to share a special message with us. This is one such Sunday, and I will be the speaker for today. We are currently streaming our services online. The Joys and Sorrows portion of our service is, however, private, and we will take a break from streaming during that part of the service. The sermon portion of the service will be recorded and will be available for future viewing on Facebook, YouTube, and the church website. Let your Facebook and Twitter friends know that you are attending worship with hashtag First Unitarian Hobart. Due to the increase in COVID-19 cases and the more infectious Delta variant, we ask that all in-person attendees of the Sunday services wear a mask covering both nose and mouth. You can either bring a mask or we will provide one. We thank you for your consideration of our community's health and safety. Please take a deep breath now and join us in a spirit of reverence. Food is not about impressing people, it's about making them feel comfortable. Chef Ina Garten. Would you please join with me now in lighting the chalice? Would you join me, please, in opening hymn number 68, Come Ye Thankful People.
Come, ye thankful people, come.
believes in the affirmation of faith. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. And this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We are striving to create a worship space which is both spiritual and safe. However, we recognize that not everyone can attend in person. We extend a special welcome to everyone who is joining us virtually today. Thank you to our tech team for making the live streaming and recording possible. Due to the increase in COVID-19 cases and the more infectious Delta variant, the Greet Your Neighbor portion of our service will be contactless. Please take a moment to greet your neighbor by waving your hands and letting your smile reach past your mask to your eyes. That's all right. And now we will move to the doxology. This congregation expresses our greatest joys and deepest sorrows in community. We believe that a joy shared is magnified and a sorrow shared is diminished. We pause listening to what arises from within our hearts. Your joys and sorrows will not be streamed online, nor will they be part of the recording, which is made public. Before We Eat, From Farm to Table, by Pat Brisson, illustrated by Mary Azarian. As we sit around this table, let's give thanks as we are able to all the folks we'll never meet who helped provide this food we eat. They plowed the ground and planted seeds, tended fields, removed the weeds. They picked the food at harvest time, working in the heat and grime. They grazed the cattle, fed the sows, gathered eggs, and milked the cows. They fished from boats out on the seas, raised wheat and nuts and honeybees. Thank the ones who packed the crates, sorted boxes, and checked the weights. Thank the drivers on the roads, in their trucks with heavy loads. And all the clerks at all the stores who did the grocery selling chores. Thank the ones who brought this food, the ones who teach us gratitude. Sitting at this meal we share, we are grateful and aware, sending thanks upon the air to those workers everywhere. Good morning. Close your eyes. Imagine your favorite foods being lovingly prepared by your favorite people. What are the delicious aromas? Maybe there is lots of garlic, or curry, or cumin. Perhaps you're imagining the smell of freshly baked bread. Whatever you're thinking of, pause for this moment to take in these foods, to smell them, to see them, to taste them in your mind, right here and now. The secret ingredient in the best foods is love. The love of food, the love of cooking, the love of eating, and the love of. If you wish, you may open your eyes, or you may wish to leave them closed. Today is a day for eating. Many people around the country will be eyes on the television and hands on the chicken wings as they enjoy Super Bowl 56. If the church were not closed due to COVID restrictions, today would be our Super Soup Sunday, and I would have brought a crock of my homemade vegetarian lemon rice soup. While I love everything about food, there are some things I simply cannot eat. Sweet potatoes, olives, black licorice, and some things I have chosen not to eat. All meats, including fish and fowl, animal broth, gelatin, glycerin. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't love the smell of bacon. Bad vegetarian. Yet, with all those things removed from my plate, there is still a whole lot of food left. A world full, in fact. There is Indian, Thai, Mediterranean, Mexican, the list goes on. I love food that has complex aromas, is rich and flavorful, and is well seasoned but not spicy. As a pagan, an artist, and a self-proclaimed foodie, I approach food as though it were an object of religious veneration, and I take the time to be in the moment with it, however humble. The beautiful dark green curly leaves of kale, the delightful grit of tiny poppy seeds between my fingers as I pinch them up and sprinkle them on top of my beer bread batter, the cool smoothness of an apple, all to me sublime. I also enjoy food prep, so much so that I generally buy my vegetables with the tops on and make a ritual out of the cutting and the peeling. I deliberately and methodically peel, chop, slice, grate, and I do not for one moment envy chefs who can prepare their dishes in record time. Back in the 1980s, an organization was founded in Italy around the idea of mindful eating. The antithesis to fast food, the slow food movement encourages local and traditional food and cooking, and the farming of plant and animal consumables that are in harmony with one's local ecosystem. Additionally, the slow food movement works to reduce overproduction and the wasting of food. Eating slowly means that you take smaller bites. You chew each bite slower and longer, and you enjoy your meal longer. That sounds nice. And study after study has confirmed that eating slowly is much better for your health. Some of the benefits include improving digestion, better absorption of nutrients, feeling of calmness and stress reduction, and yes, increasing your enjoyment of food. That sounds very nice. Speaking of nice, at this time, I would like to turn a corner and bring to your attention another important issue surrounding food. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, there are people in the world so hungry that God cannot appear to them except in the form of bread. Food is a privilege. No, this is not going to turn into a lecture on finishing your plate because there are starving kids in other countries, but food is a privilege, and Americans in particular waste an alarming amount of food. When I became a vegetarian, I did so for spiritual, ecological, and ethical reasons, even though nothing outside of myself demanded it of me. It made me more mindful of what I ate, where it came from, and how I handled it before, during, and after meals. I understand that I have available to me more food in one day than many people around the world have access to in an entire week, maybe several. And that is always in my mind while I eat. Leftovers in my house are promptly put into storage containers, dated and placed in the refrigerator, or often the freezer. I make a point to be aware of leftovers and to consume them in a reasonable time in order to throw away less food. Keeping vegetarianism in the back of my mind has brought food waste to the front of my mind. Michael Pollan says in his book, In Defense of Food, An Eater's Manifesto, he showed the words chocolate cake to a group of Americans and recorded their word associations. Guilt was the top response. If that strikes you as unexceptional, consider the response of French eaters to the same prompt: celebration. In his book, Kitchen Confidential, Adventures in the Culinary Underbelly, Chef Anthony Bourdain says, "Do we really want to travel in hermetically sealed popemobiles through the rural provinces of France, Mexico, and the Far East, eating only in Hard Rock cafes and McDonald's? Or do we want to eat without fear, tearing into the local stew, the humble taqueria's mystery meat, the sincerely offered gift of a lightly grilled fish head? I know what I want. I want it all. I want to try everything once." Bourdain understood the sacredness of food. When Bourdain died, Chef Jose Andres said of his dear friend in an interview with Esquire magazine, "I suffered so much grief after what happened that I only hope people will turn all that grief into happiness of life and remembering how Tony made the world a smaller place by bringing us all together." If it is at all possible to be at the right place at the right time when a beloved celebrity dies, my husband Patrick and I were indeed there. We were in Manchester, Tennessee at the 5-day music and arts festival called Bonnaroo when the news of Anthony Bourdain's death broke. A day or two later, on a radio interview, I heard one of Bourdain's closest friends, perhaps it was Chef Andre, say in an interview, "The best tribute one can pay to Bourdain's legacy would be to travel, dine at a local restaurant, and strike up a conversation with a stranger over a drink in a new town." And that's just what we did. Since we had traveled to Manchester and we were in a communal dining environment, at mealtime, we gently approached complete strangers and asked them if they would mind if we joined them in tribute to Anthony Bourdain. No one turned us down, and we had some very pleasant conversations with people from all over the country. Of this introvert, Anthony Bourdain would have been proud. Breaking bread with strangers and making friends, however temporary, With new people in an unfamiliar place was an experience I will never forget and something I will talk about for years to come. It makes me wonder why restaurants haven't replaced the former smoking sections with communal dining sections, where people can be seated knowing that their table is open to any others who come to the restaurant wishing to break bread with strangers. There really is something sacred about food. Consider some of the rituals built around it. Mardi Gras, or Fat Tuesday, the festive last day to consume rich, fatty foods before the 40-day period of Lent, when you are to then give up those same foods for several weeks. Think of the cultural taboos that admonish certain foods altogether, such as the eating of beef by Hindus, or a cheeseburger by observant Jews, and celebrations of gathering, such as Thanksgiving, where foods of all colors, tastes, and textures are laid out and offered to loved ones for the taking. Or where you get toast and popcorn with treasured friends and enjoy it just the same. In pagan holy day observations, near the end of the ritual, there is a light communal meal called Simple Feast, or Cakes and Ale, where it is common to pass the cup and plate to your neighbor and wish them, may you never hunger, may you never thirst. It may be as humble as bread and water or milk and cookies, or as fancy as wine and cheese, but it is just a light token offering to bring your awareness into the moment at hand through the grounding experience of the sensory perception of eating, and to share that feeling with the people around you. Going back to what Chef Ina Garten said, food is not about impressing people, it's about making them feel comfortable. Sure, impressive food is a feast for the eyes, and hopefully, at those prices, for the palate. But if it is consumed in a self-important environment among self-righteous people, is it comforting? If you cannot eat your meal in an atmosphere of camaraderie, are you really enjoying your meal, or are you just consuming food? What is the trade-off? What have you sacrificed to eat in this way? I'm not judging, I'm asking you to be mindful. When you pause to eat, pay attention. Try to discern the various flavors and textures in your food. What is that underlying flavor? What in the world did I just bite into? Today is a day for eating, and isn't every day? It is my most sincere hope that for all those who have food to enjoy, they enjoy it with a little pause just before eating, to take it in with all of their available senses and appreciate it just a little bit more. In the words of humorist Irma Bombeck, seize the moment. Remember all those women on the Titanic who waved off the dessert cart. Thank you. Now is the time in our service for our offering. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. would you join me, please, in our closing hymn, number 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table. Today's closing words are adapted from a Unitarian prayer. The food which we are about to eat is air, fire, earth, and water compounded through the alchemy of many plants and animals. Therefore, earth, air, fire, and water will become part of us. This food is also the fruit of the labor of many beings. We are grateful for the food and the sacrifices that made it possible. May it give us strength, health, joy, and may it increase our love. Blessed be. Amen. Dadhatstu. Svaha.
Give thanks for the corn, for the wheat which are reaped, for labor well done, and for barns that are heaped, for the sun and the dew, and the sweet honeycomb, for the rose and the song, and the harvest brought home. For the mills and the farms of our land, for the craft and the strength in the work of our hands, for the beauty our artists and poets have wrought, for the hope and affections our friendships have brought. Honeycomb, for the rose and the song that our harvest brought home.
Thank you for attending the First Unitarian Church of Hobart. For those attending online, we invite and encourage you to carry on your own virtual coffee hour with the others online, and please break bread together. Now we will extinguish the chalice.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.